I'm starting this channel. I see a lot of people on the internet debating whether God is real, what God does. Is the Bible true, is it trustworthy, and how we deconstruct it and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's like, man, a lot of people's got a lot of stuff messed up. They don't really know what the Bible's really saying. And there's one video I've watched here recently. This guy was debating a bunch of people that really didn't really read the Bible. They didn't know how to defend the Bible at all. And it's making out like, hey, this is the logic of Christians. They're not trustworthy. This is what they believe. And it's really not true. It's not true. Those stuff those guys were trying to say, it's obviously not right. And what he was asking them, it's easy to defend those things. And I'm going to pull some of them up. I have some written down. I'm going to try to remember some of the ones that I didn't write down. But this is my first video, and I'll probably do this video again and more thorough, and even have the video of the guy asking these questions and let you see what him ask these questions. But yeah, he asked a few questions when he started the video out. The one guy said he thought the Bible would prove that God was real, and yeah, I mean I believe the Bible is trustworthy and actually says God's real. It does, and it's really all you really need. But you can actually look in the world, you see we're here. How in the world did we get here? Of course there's a God. If you were to say there's no God, you got to say that everything came from nothing, all in and of itself. Because no matter what's out there, I mean, the Big Bang, whatever, something had to cause a Big Bang. And then a lot of people now realizing that mistake, all the atheists say, oh, there was something before the Big Bang. That's what caused it, and it was just something that just happens. He's like, what? No, because something would have to cause that too. And then, when they see that problem, they'll which they should already see because they have the one by the Big Bang. It's like, you had to have the cause of the Big Bang. You had to have the cause for what caused the Big Bang as well. And then you had to have the cause of what caused that. You had the cause that caused that. So on and so forth. I mean, things just don't happen for nothing. And some things don't happen for no reason whatsoever. And for something to have happened like that, there has to be a cause. And they'll tell us, well, we don't know where Jesus came from, what God is, or where these things really were, but and so we had no proof either. But the problem is they have no proof whatsoever. They're saying everything came from nothing, not any kind of logic whatsoever. But we are here, and so we know that everything can't come from absolutely nothing. That's just ludicrous. I mean, because for a reaction to happen, there has to be something there for that to even happen. So there has to be something there, and something's got to be doing something. But for something to be doing something, something has to cause it. And so having a guide, you may not believe in the Bible guide, but for us to be here, there has to be some sort of logical entity outside of our universe that we know and how we understand things for us to actually be here. Some logical stuff had to start it. And so Christians, we had the Bible. The Bible says God was made us in the beginning. In 7 days, so we say that He is the Creator. We believe what the Bible says, and it's trustworthy. People like to say that it can't be trustworthy because it says the sun goes around the earth. That's not what it's referring to. It's referring to the fact that you can see the sun come up on the east and go down in the west. It's not really saying that it's actually traveling through. It's just saying that the motion of the sun looks like it's going around there. It didn't say looks like it, but that's what it's referring to. It's referring to the fact that the sun is going up and going down. It's not really moving. It's us. We know that it's us that's moving, but and to the perspective of the person that's looking at it, it looks like the sun's doing that. So, well, they should have known that. If they had wrote, they had those people who they was writing to, we didn't know what they was talking about. And so they was writing things to the perspective of the people. They weren't trying to be scientists on that deal. They were just saying, hey, the sun goes up over here and it went down over there. Almost, I don't know what they knew, but obviously God knew that was what was going on. That's not a logical deal about the earth. It's just mentioned that the sun comes up on the east and go down the west. Not that it's actually the one doing the moving, but that when you look at the sun and you see it, it appears to go up from the east and it appears to go down in the west. So I'm tired of people saying that's a false in the Bible, but that's stupidity. Because when I look at the sun, it looks like it goes up to me too. It looks like it goes down in the west. To everybody else, it looks the same way. You don't see the earth moving. You don't see that. You see the sun moving. But we know that that's really just our perspective. And it was talking about our perspective there. And then people like to say that that's another thing that God said, that the Bible has scientific problems with how the world really is. But I'm sure he's saying that because it said the sun went up and down. Obviously, it was talking about our perspective of the sun. And then also it says that the earth is a circle or whatever, the circle of the earth. When I look at a sphere, I see it as being round, but like a circle. I know a sphere is not exactly like a one-dimension circle. It's more like a four-dimension or three-dimension, whatever you want to call it. I don't actually remember. I was looking at Google, and there's some of the things that scientifically wrong, and he said that what the world Bible talked about scientifically wrong stuff, and they said, they call the earth is flat. No, flat earthers want to say that's flat. They're saying it's just a circle, and then God's sitting right up here on the top of there. Excuse me. Now I'm getting the hiccups because I'm talking too fast. But that's not what he's talking about. A circle is a sphere. And so God knows it is a sphere. And he was just saying the circle in the Bible is a circle of the earth. The earth is a circle, it's a sphere. It's not a one-dimension circle. It's like a four-dimension, three-dimension, however you want to call that. It's a sphere. But it's a circle. Basically a circle. But that's I know you're just trying to say no. And I think you think of it too. If you look at a ball, you're going to tell the geometry shape of that. You might say sphere, but when you're talking about that, also I wouldn't say something wrong. Say, hey, this is a circle. I mean, because in a sense, it's a circle, and it's not trying. Bob wasn't trying to be scientific there, anyways. It was just saying the circle of the earth, whatever that passage was saying. But a circle could be a sphere. At least in my. I mean, I know you're wanting to grind words to words. Yeah, I mean you're just looking for a problem, because some people, at least obviously, I think of a circle, a sphere being a circle, not necessarily a sphere. But the basic deal was like it's a round object, and the sphere is a round object, and a circle is a round object. That's basically the concept that's going on there. It's not a problem. God knows the earth was a sphere. It wasn't in the Bible trying to tell you that it was a flat deal. That's flat earthers are wrong. They're not biblically right. The point that the sun goes up in the east and down in the west is it's obviously not referring to a flat earth. The sun wouldn't go up and down if it was flat. The Bible would say it moved from this side to this side. I mean, it's not teaching flat earth. Anyways, there's a lot. All those. I can get into that later. That's probably another video I'll do. Is that there's not really any scientifically wrong stuff. The Bible ain't saying something that is wrong, whether literally, or whatever. It may be some kind of prophecy. You might say something about. I know it says stuff about something that's dragons with so many horns, or beasts with so many horns. We know those are not really. That's a prophecy about different things in the end times and stuff. It's not literal things. We know that, so they might. I mean, I got to look in there more and see what other deals that are like that. But that's not the Bible being scientifically wrong. But get away from that, because that's just something the guy mentioned, and that's not really true. The Bible's not giving out bad facts about the earth. But one thing he did come up with, and he got one of those little caller guys that he took calls from people, and one of the questions he asked him, and he said, the Bible says that David was that was right in the sight of God all his life, but he goes, and obviously that ain't true because David sinned. The Bible didn't say David didn't sin. He said that he did all that God commanded him, his whole opposite of the deal with Uriah and Uriah's wife. You know, he had Uriah killed and took his wife. So that wasn't obviously what God commanded him to do. God did not want him to do that, but he did that anyways. So that was what it was talking about, the commands he did tell. It wasn't talking about the commands of Moses. That was wrong. You know, when he said he did that was right, and all that he commanded him, all he commanded David. He wasn't saying the rest of Israel. The others were Israel and everybody. He would have said that God did. He did what was right. What he asked David to do. David did what all but the one thing with the right. That's what the Bible said. And it wants to inflate that, try to use that as Moses' law too. No, Moses' law was for all Israel, not just David. And so I don't know why that one caller got all confused with that. That's fine. That's fine. Everybody don't know everything. I don't know everything, and I can get confused, and just like the next person can. But I just had to make this video and show that, hey, that guy really isn't right. He really needs to rethink what he's saying. Another thing he said was God was told David's son Absalom to do bad moral things with David's wife, and God didn't tell Absalom to do that. Now there was God put punishment on David and said these things are going to happen, and he's going to raise up evil in David's life, and these things are going to happen inside there. He's going to cause this stuff to happen, but he wasn't saying he was going to be telling anybody to do anything. You read the story of David and Absalom. You never see where it says God said, "Hey, Absalom, do this." He never even mentioned that. Absalom did these things. He had somebody else that actually encouraged Absalom to do that, but it wasn't God. It was some other guy. But it was God. God just allowed evil. But normally, with the evil that normally God would not have allowed to happen, He would have like the hedge of Job. Job had a hedge around him inside Job. The hedge that he would have normally had around David, He allowed this evil to come on in instead of keeping it out, and rose it up, making sure it came to full fruition, and these things played out. Not that he actually was the one doing these things. And God ain't going out there doing evil to people. And sometimes you read different parts of the Bible, it kind of sounds like that. But you got to look at God is not doing the evil. And even if a guy didn't, well, he killed other people in the Bible. Yeah, he did. We belong to God. We are God's creation. And so he's not really not held to the same standards we are, because we don't kill people and do other things because other people don't belong to us. They're not ours to do away with or do anything else with. They're God's. We're all belong to God, and we're all created in His image. And it's God's decision to do all. God puts up and puts down, not man. And so it's a really bad thing to be killing people. But God is God. God, if God thinks it's your turn to go, it's your time to die, it's your time. That's just the way it is. And if God says, hey, you're too evil to be on the earth, He's God. He's the one to decide who's evil, who's not evil. It's not our decision what's right and what's wrong. We read the Bible. David said in the Bible, I've heard that word, if I hit my heart, that might not sin against God. It's God's word that tells us. It's God who says, hey, this is right or this is wrong. But in that story with David, God didn't tell Absalom to do that. God didn't say, hey, Absalom, go do this. What it is, God knew that Absalom was going to be the evil person. This other guy that was inside of Absalom's life was going to encourage him to do these crazy things. And He allowed that evil, instead of removing it and keeping it from festering and growing up inside David's life, He allowed that to grow up, and He actually kept it there so that these things would happen. Yeah, He allowed these things to happen. It's the difference in allowing things to happen and telling somebody to do this and being the one doing it. He didn't do it. It was Him allowing things to happen that wasn't the best. We see that all the time in the Bible, and there's no problem with most of it. It's just certain things we don't like. We start to, this is bad. No, God is sovereign. Everything belongs to Him. So if He were to tear something up that is part of His creation, it's His anyways. It's not. He can't be evil for tearing His own stuff up. Yeah, it looks evil to us, and it's bad to us. And it's not. Don't look loving. God's loving. The Bible says God is love. And so how can He do some of these things? Well, yeah, At the end of the day, though, some things that he may do that we don't agree with, is still we belong to him. I mean, at the end of the day, things have to be done because evil's horrible, and he's trying to do away with evil and get us back to where we were supposed to be in the beginning. But yeah, God didn't tell Absalom to do that, and he allowed that to happen. He was in the process. That he was the one involved in making sure that those people were brought up and they did these things in David's life. But you never read in the story where it says God told Absalom to do this to David's wife. That's not part of it. You see it happening. You have some guy telling David to do it, but it wasn't God. Now another thing was, see what else he did. Another thing I wrote down he did. He said prophecy about. Oh yeah, he's trying to say that Jesus didn't fulfill the messianic prophecies of the Bible. He didn't fulfill any of them. And one in particular he was talking about is the prophecy of Solomon, of the lineage of David, that David's going to have a king on the throne for all time. He said that there's no king on the throne now, but the problem is, according to the Bible, Jesus is on the throne right now, and Jesus was a descendant of David. So there is somebody on the throne right now. It's not on earth. The Bible never said that the king would always be on earth. This king was on earth, and and he did have literal kings throughout the time, and there was gaps. The Bible never said, you won't find in the Bible where it said there was not going to be a gap, there wasn't going to be a king. It said that the kings were going to be from David's lineage. And gaps happened because God punished Israel at different times, and Israel was taken into captivity, and obviously there was gaps. But that doesn't mean that there was another king outside David's lineage that was king over Israel. But I don't know, the kingdom went through Israel. I had to really look at that and see that Israel split into two different kingdoms. One was Israel, one was Judah, and so David's lineage may have been Judah and not Israel, but Judah. But I'm not sure exactly how that. I gotta look at that. I just think I threw this video real quick. I wanted to get started and say some of these things. So basically, what I'm coming down to with this argument was that there is somebody of David's lineage on the throne right now, and David's lineage didn't cease. It actually went all the way through to Jesus, and then Jesus is on the throne. He tried to say that the Bible said that Jesus was punished with stripes for his sins he did, because it talked about David's seed from Solomon was going to build a temple, and it said, or I don't know if it said Solomon was going to build a temple, but it says they're going to build a temple. We know that Solomon built the temple, and it said that God was going to punish David, I don't know if it said David's seed, but he's going to build a temple. He's going to punish him whenever he did wrong, and he's going to call him his son. A lot of it is about Solomon right there. I don't know that all of it is about Solomon, but Solomon did build a temple. And I think God did call Solomon his son or something like that in retrospect somewhere in the Bible or something. But I'm not going to argue that point. But the point I'm going to make is that if you want to put Jesus in there, it's Solomon building a temple and the stripes, and then Jesus being his son. What it's doing, it's lumping all the kings of David, all of them together. It's saying, okay, Solomon obviously made the temple. There's a bunch of kings in there in between Solomon and Jesus, and they did wrong. When they did wrong, they were punished for it. And that's what that verse is saying. It's saying that David's kingdom, the people was coming after him, they was going to build a temple, and when they did wrong, they was going to be punished for it. It wasn't saying Jesus was going to be punished for it. It wasn't saying they was all going to be the Son of God. What it was saying, it was just lumping all of that together, the whole list of those kings, all the way through to Jesus together, and saying, hey, building the temple, being punished, and calling him his son. And so Solomon built a temple and did get some kind of wars and different things that happened at the end of his kingdom for different things he did that was wrong. And throughout time, we see all of them. You read Kings and First Kings, Second Kings. You see the different kingdoms that were from Israel, had, or Judah had, whichever one it was at the time, the kingdom was, that David was over, David's ancestor was over, they were being punished at lots of different times in the Bible by God. And then Jesus was, when he came, he was the Son of God. And one last thing before I start the video, I don't want the video to be real long. I have to do another part of it. This is already, trying to see, about 21 minutes. I really don't want my video to be more than 10 minutes long, so keep it kind of short, easy to watch. But he also said that the Old Testament never says he's going to be born of a virgin, but it did say that. In the King James Version, it says in Isaiah that it's born of a virgin. Now, if you some of these other versions, they don't say that. They say about young lady, but what does it really mean by young lady? Is it referring that she's been really young, so she's basically a virgin? I don't know about those. I don't read those other versions. I don't think they're actually. I don't think you're a sinner for reading those other versions. I don't think we need to be reading those other versions. I prefer to read just the King James Version. People get mad at me at that if you want to, but I know there's some stuff in those other versions is not really good. I hear people saying there's problems with the King James. I don't know where the problem is. A lot of the problems that I don't. I'm actually saying something I don't really know anything about. Really, I don't know the problem. I read it. I don't see the problems. I'm sure there are probably problems. It's just stuff that they don't agree with their religions and that they have out there. All this crazy stuff they want to say that we can sin and do all kinds of crazy stuff and it's all okay. I don't think so. The King James Version doesn't say that. And the King James Version says that a virgin wouldn't have a child. And that's what the New Testament says, that Jesus was born of a virgin. That was one of his crazy deals that the Old Testament didn't say it would be a virgin. But it did. If you read the King James Version, it did say that it would be a virgin. So you gotta be careful what version you're actually reading. Reading some of those sometimes can help you with some stuff, but I wouldn't put my doctrine or anything in some of those other versions. I may look at another version if I'm reading King James Version and I stumble across some word I don't really know what it means for some reason. I don't know what. That don't normally happen, but maybe I would look at another version and see what it had in a more wording and see if it kind of cleared up what I was reading in the King James Version and help me understand it. But I wouldn't take that other version far. That's just me. I'm not saying anybody's wrong for not doing that, for doing another King James Version. I just don't myself. I use a King James Version. I think that's actually that's personally the best one, and that's the one I use. And if I was going to encourage anybody to use a Bible, I'd encourage them to use a King James Version. If you have a word or something you might need to know the meaning or something of, then we have dictionaries. And there's no I ain't saying you're wrong for reading another version. Just be careful what version you're using, because some versions are not good. You can't just say, I can't tell you that every version is going to send you to hell, but I also can't tell you every version is good. Neither can you. But anyways, that's some of the things. There's other things that the guy said that was that the Bible never said that he was going to come from. Was it Galilee? But then he said it's a play on words and different things like that. And I don't agree with him with that. And he said also that there's other things I need to talk about. But to keep the video short, I first want to talk on this. I'm going to cut it short right here, and I'll have some more later on. And I'll try to do it a little better where I actually have his video and showing him asking questions, and let you see what he's actually answering. You gotta take my word for it. This is what he actually asked. But the questions are not hard and difficult to answer. Those are easy answers to give somebody. It's just that I'm sorry the guy said he fell away from God. I'm sorry he fell away from God. I wish he hadn't. But when people die, they're not. You about die lost. You're gonna end up going to hell. And it's not temporary. It's a hellfire. And that's another thing that guy mentioned. Another kid tried to mention that, say that hell was just the absence of God. And that guy's like, made it look crazy. He says, show me chapter and verse of that. It didn't really say that. That's not in the Bible. It's man wanting to make hell easy. It's not real. Hell is punishment. You're living wrong. You're doing wrong things. Yeah, you're going to be asked as a God, but you're going to be punished while you're there because you did evil. You hurt. You destroyed people. You hurt people, and And sin is that bad that it takes that much punishment because, I mean, it's just that bad. We don't realize how bad sin really is. I mean, a lot of things we don't realize. Like Adam and Eve didn't realize all the things about dying and all that stuff that's going to happen when they ate the fruit. They didn't even know what death was.